amigos de Wine News TV Puerto Rico? Me encuentro aquí en un restaurante muy famoso en el Hotel Sheraton del Distrito de Convenciones, Texas de Brasil. Agradezco al grupo Wow, agradezco por supuesto a Sheila que nos ha dado la mano y agradezco más importante aún a Fine Wine Imports, a Carlitos Montalvo, a Chemaiki, a Eduardo, a todos los que están detrás de ese proyecto que trae unos vinos extraordinarios a Puerto Rico. Estamos hoy con una bodega muy interesante, FEL Wines. Estoy con su winemaker hace 15 años, 15 years, sí, right? Ryan Hudgens. And we're going to switch into English now. We're going to talk a little bit about this wines, about his philosophy as a winemaker. Obviously, this is owned by the Cliff Leddy Family Wines.
Exactly.
A very important group, and Carlitos also brings their amazing Cabernets. What can you tell us about FEL Wines as, you know, as an operation, as a business enterprise, or as a philosophy of making wines?
Okay, so FEL is, we're based, all of our vineyards are from Anderson Valley, which is in Mendocino County. We're about 100 miles north of Napa in one of California's northernmost and coolest wine growing regions. So while Cliff Lady Vineyards in Napa focuses on Stag's Leap District Cabernet and Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc, my focus is on cool climate varieties from Anderson Valley. So we make Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir from multiple different vineyards, including Savoy, which is our state vineyard we own and farm.
And you, off camera, we were talking about something quite cool, and that FEL stands for the letters of the name. Tell me a little bit about that.
So FEL is named in honor of Cliff Lady's mother. You know, Cliff is a very family-oriented person, and his son is involved in the company as well. And he wanted to do something to honor his mother, Florence Elsie Lady, who was really his inspiration for first getting into wine. She was a home winemaker of sorts in Alberta, Canada. You know, up there she wasn't working with Pinot Noir or Chardonnay or Cabernet. She was making wine from fruits, some cherry wines. And one of Cliff's first experience tasting any kind of wine was with his homemade cherry wine in the basement in Canada.
That's
so that was kind of the spark for his passion for wine, which ultimately manifested in owning a winery in Napa and in Mendocino.
Yeah, what a great way to honor his mother. Let's talk about the wines you brought: a Pinot Gris, a Chardonnay, and then two Pinots. What can you tell us about this first one, this Pinot Gris, the 2018 vintage?
2018?
Yeah, what can you tell us about this first one?
So it's
cheers.
Chin. Salute. So Pinot Gris, I think one of the important things to distinguish is, Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio are the same grape. We chose to call it Pinot Gris because it's made in the style. Our inspiration for this wine is the wines of Alsace, Pinot Gris, and part of the reason it's in this shaped bottle, the Hock bottle, is to signal that this is more of an Alsatian style.
It has the weight, it has the that creaminess, and obviously that sense of the stony character. I get more white fruit than lemon, but it does have the great acidity. That note that will clean the palate, will pair very, very well with food. It's a very, very good wine. I hadn't had it before. I had the Chard and the Pinots, but this is very, very well made.
Thank you. Yeah, it's barrel fermented in neutral oak barrels. Not trying to get any toast and oak character into it, but I like fermenting in those smaller oak vessels because they give contact with the yeast leaves, which build some of that creaminess to the palate. And then we also use a 35 hectoliter oak cask, a big giant oval that is a traditional vessel that they would use in Alsace as well.
It's very, very well made, and it's very gastronomic. What would you pair this with in terms of if one of our viewers wants to go to one of the shops or call Fine Wine and buy this wine, what would you pair it with?
The seafood of Puerto Rico is amazing, and this goes wonderfully with whether it's pulpo or crab, shrimp. You can put this with anything. We had it the other night with a conch salad, crazy pulpo. So
it has sufficiently enough weight and unctuosity and viscosity, just to withstand even a chicken with a cream sauce.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I like to talk about with Pinot Gris versus Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio, the Italian version, sometimes is a pool to have by a wine done by the pool.
Exactly.
Like,
it's like water, which is good. We need to drink water.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
the Pinot Grigio is not. One of the things I think about is in Alsace, one of the northernmost wine growing regions in the world. They make some of the greatest white wines on the planet. But they're not known for their red wines, and yet the food there is pretty hearty.
Exactly.
It's a lot of sausage and heavy cheeses and potatoes.
France it is.
So they're making white wines that can stand up to a pork tenderloin, and that kind of is kind of the
I love
thinking.
The flowers. I love the stony character. This is a serious white wine. It's delicious. Very well made. I congratulations for this. The 2018 vintage. What can you tell us about it?
2018 was our first vintage in quite a number of years, really since the onset of the drought in California.
Okay.
That this was it was not a drought year. And the drought really for us, which ran from 2013 through 17, we made amazing wines during those years. But the challenge during the drought years was if it's not raining in the winter in California, the sun is shining, and that means everything kind of wakes up early. Yeah. So in Anderson Valley, we have a longer, colder winter, but during the drought years, we were having bud break much earlier than normal, and so the whole growing season would start early. The grapes would be more exposed, especially at the end of their ripening, to more of the heat of the summer as opposed to ripening in the fall. Yeah. And 18 was a return to what would be more of a normal schedule where we're ripening these grapes in late September.
It's changing in the glass. I'm starting to get a little bit of tangerine, a little bit of red citrus fruit, a little bit of pepper, flowers. It's very well made. This wine cannot be less than $40, right?
No, it's much less than that.
How much is this wine?
It's on the island.
24? You're kidding me.
Yeah, see?
Very good wine, and it will age.
Yes,
it will age. This is a wine. This is a very, very good wine. The FEL 28 Pinot Gris. Let's go to the Chardonnay. Looking forward to this one. I've had other vintages, not the 2017. Let's see what we have here. Love the glasses, by the way, from Texas de Brazil. Oh, love the nose again. I'm getting the apples. I'm getting that kiss of vanilla.
So. The thing that's distinctive about this Chardonnay versus many Californian Chardonnays is while it is all barrel fermented, I don't use any new oak on it. I'm not trying to get a lot of toast and vanilla into the wine.
It's not exaggerated, no.
And it also, there's the secondary fermentation of the fermentation of malic acid to lactic acid, the acid of apples to the acid of dairy. We prevent that from happening.
I see the wing to Burgundy here. There's an homage.
There's definitely an homage.
A wing to.
I think for me, my comp or my inspiration would be more like the Mâconnais.
Totally.
The wines of Macon. We're never going to make Meursault or Montrachet in California, but we can make a wine that could rival the Macon.
Yeah, this is an American that speaks French. Very, very well made. It's delicate. It's not this explosive, jammy, buttery, vanilla-kissed, vanilla-drenched Chardonnay. It's nuanced. It's elegant. It's very agile on the palate.
Thank you.
Very, very good.
One of the things I love about, especially with Chardonnay, when you don't let it go through malic ML, is malic acid. You think about the sensation of biting like a green apple, Granny Smith. And that makes the back of your mouth water.
Yeah.
The acid stimulates your salivary glands, and you get this mouth-watering finish to it. And we get that in this wine. It gives you this kind of fresh aftertaste that also makes you want to have another.
But you got a little bit of hard lemon, and then you have that stone, that minerality, that chalk, that je ne sais quoi that comes from the soil in the Mâconnais. It's very well made. Food pairing for this one.
This is, again, seafood would be my go-to, but again, with that acidity and freshness, goes great with chicken. Yeah. You could do it with a light preparation of pork as well.
Exactly. Here in Puerto Rico, we eat a lot of pork. We're, coming near the Christmas season, and we eat a lot of pork. Very, very well made. Chemaiki, along how much is this wine, the
That
Chardonnay?
would be like 29.
29. No, you kidding me.
I'm
29.
talking about retail.
Retail, exactly. So if you go to the shop, the fine wine local, $29 for this Chardonnay.
Around 21 something.
Oh my God, this is a very good Chardonnay. It's very well made, and obviously we know that the Lede family does not spare any expenses. They
Absolutely.
invest, and this you can see the quality of the fruit, the quality of the oak treatment. Because sometimes American Chardonnays, and I mean no disrespect, they have a lot of makeup,
Yes, yes,
Here you
yes.
have fruit, you have a lot of barrel, you have a lot of sugar, you have this extraction. But here I see complexity, but in a very approachable way. So congratulations for that.
Gracias.
Very well made.
Thank you.
Let's go to the 2017 Anderson Valley Pinot Noir.
Okay, the best way to talk about this wine is to understand a little bit about the geography of Anderson Valley. So again, the valley is about 100 miles north of San Francisco. It opens on the Pacific Ocean. And the Pacific is always very cold there. Never warmer than 55 degrees Fahrenheit and 12, 13 degrees Celsius. And so that cold air, the cold wind and fog that comes off the ocean funnels into the valley along the Navarro River. And the valley is about 15 miles long and less than a mile wide. So we have two vineyards that are close to the ocean and two vineyards.
I get the salinity, the proximity to the
exactly.
ocean. You get that at the end.
The
You got the Bing cherry and all of those
See?
things, the spice, the clove, the cinnamon, the pine, the freshness. But you get that hint of salinity.
You should write my tasting notes. Those are all my descriptors I use. You
I
got
love it, and it's got that. It's got a little bit of a smokiness to it, a very nice one at the end. Very good Pinot.
Well, I think of this as the 30,000 foot view of the valley because we have vineyards close to the ocean, vineyards at the inland end of the valley where it's more protected. The vineyards close to the water give us more spice, tobacco, cedar. The vineyards that are more protected on the inland side are the black cherry, Bing cherry, cola notes. So this is blending of several vineyards, so you get that spice and fruit character in the wine.
It's delicious. This cannot be less than $50, right? How much is this Pinot Noir?
It's around 34, 35.
Are you guys making any money out of this?
No.
20, 21, 30. This is a very, very good Pinot Noir. Again, it's not, because I've had tons of American Pinots that are either sweet, jammy, lots of vanilla from the barrel, loads of coconut, and then chocolate even. But this one, and again, it's very mineral. It has that American fruit. But again, I see the wink to Burgundy. I see that this trying to pay a tribute perhaps to those who have mastered the Pinot grape, but it's quintessential an American wine. It's very well made.
One of the things I think about Anderson Valley is it's kind of it's being the northernmost fine wine growing region in California. It's also kind of the tipping point between the brown hills and oak trees of California and the beginning of the great woods of the Northwest. So this is, to me, kind of the in-between from the Willamette Valley, where I'm originally from.
From Oregon. You're from Oregon?
I'm from Portland.
I can definitely see that, because it's not Burgundian.
No.
It's Californian, but you see that proximity to Oregon.
Exactly.
Like, we're neighbors. We're neighbors.
We have some of the elegance of the Willamette
Yeah.
Valley with some of the fruits of California. That's kind of
I love
where
it.
the
I love
in-between.
it. This is, for those who like fruit, on the nose, you get that delicious Pinot quality of this very bright fruit. All right, let's go to the piece de résistance, the Savoy Pinot Noir.
Vineyard.
Tell me about this one.
I've worked with Savoy Vineyard since 2005 when we first started this project. At the time, we were purchasing the fruit from Richard Savoy, who had planted the vineyard in the late 1980s. After buying fruit from Richard for 6 years, Cliff said to me, go find a vineyard.
Okay.
And we approached Richard and asked if he would ever be willing to sell the vineyard. And he was. So we bought the vineyard in 2011. And so that's one of the other hats I wear, is overseeing the farming, and also grower relations, because it's a 40-acre vineyard, 37 acres of Pinot, 5 of Chardonnay. And we keep a little more than half the fruit.
This is an amazing one. This is a wine to last 20, 25 years easily. Has a lot of structure. The previous Pinot is more approachable now, definitely.
Exactly.
This second wine, I mean, the tannins, the acidity, the structure, the spine, the length. It's been 30 seconds
Persistence.
and it's there. It's like even after I swallow it, I'm still tasting it. It's incredible. Oh, wow, what a wine!
The vineyard itself, it looks out on Hendy Woods State Park, which is our last stand of old-growth redwoods in the valley. So you stand in the vineyard and you're looking out at these 300-foot tall redwood trees. It's an absolutely beautiful sight. And for me, the French describe Burgundy as having sous-bois, the forest floor smell, the sweetness of kind of decay and soil
and the funkiness.
The funkiness too. But those are deciduous oak trees, the oak leaves. For this is more of a resinous quality of the smell of a conifer floor, of pine needles and redwood needles, the sweet duff of under a redwood tree.
You got lots of things going on this one. I'm getting even, mustard seed. I'm getting a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of dried meats. I'm getting a lot of things here. This is a very complex wine, and I think that we are committing a bit of a crime drinking it so early. I think it's going to be much better in 7 to 10 years. This is a wine that if you tell me that this wine costs less than $70, I'll send an email to your boss saying you guys are losing money. How much does this wine cost?
Well, actually, you don't find it that much on retail, but it would be around $90-95. But you will see it on a restaurant, maybe double that.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable American Pinot Noir. It's delicious.
And for the 2016, we made 400 cases of the Savoy and 3,500 cases of the Anderson Valley.
It
So
still
there's that
reverberates.
concentration.
Little makeup, very high-end fruit. You're not trying to disguise anything, but rather express rather than impress. Certain wines are made to impress. I think these ones are made to express your soil, your philosophy. I've been very, very blown away by all of them. I would like to, once, quick before we go, 2 questions. In terms of pairing, both Pinots, what would you pair them with?
The Savoy is robust enough that I've had it with steaks prepared with a mild sauce. The Pinot Noir is probably the most versatile. Like I can drink this with chicken, with salmon, with pork. It's almost universal. It goes great with pasta. There's red sauce.
I love to pair it with mushroom-based dishes.
Oh, there you go.
They go very well. Last question. I always ask this to my guests because we're in Puerto Rico. I love my island. What's your take on the local market, the consumer? How many times have you been down here?
I'm glad you asked. This is my 4th trip.
4th trip. So what do you think of? I know Puerto Rico is a beautiful place. You're going to say that, of course, because it is. But in terms of all your trips you've made all over the world, how do you stack the Puerto Rican consumer, the Puerto Rican wine lover, in general terms?
So, fun fact: outside of California, our #1 market in the world is Puerto Rico. I sell more wine in Puerto Rico than anywhere outside of California.
But that's in part because you're partners with the Godfather of wine
Absolutely.
in a good way, Carlito
Absolutely.
Montalvo. You're gonna come in the camera, Carlitos, one of these days.
We were the first wine that Carlito brought when he started Fine Wine Imports. So we've been on the island for quite a while. The thing that most surprised me when I first came to Puerto Rico was how much Puerto Ricans love wine.
Yeah.
I'd assumed it was all beer and rum, but the Puerto Rican palate for wine is amazing. The passion for wine here is fantastic. And I love coming to this market. I always gain a few pounds because
the food is
when
is
I
great.
go to say I work the market in New York or somewhere, I'll maybe meet with a sommelier and taste them the wines, and they'll taste through them, and then that's it. Go. Here in Puerto Rico, it's rare that I can taste these wines at a restaurant without being brought out some tostones or some.
Or meet a crazy blogger who shoots with a knife. Right? It's part of Puerto Rico. These wines have been amazing, and thanks again to our dear friends from Fine Wine Import, Carlitos Montalvo, Che Mikey. I'm making a technical stop, a parada técnica here. These wines are fantastic. Seek them out. Follow FEL Wines in social media. I will link that to the interview. Thank you so much for this. These are very, very good wines. And I went back to the first three, and they keep changing and evolving, and they have that mutation quality. They evolve, they give out different things. These are very, very, very good wines. I cannot believe that for the first three, because obviously we are at a single vineyard, with the last one it's a little bit more pricey, but to think that you can, for $100, buy the first three, I'm blown away. Roughly $100 for the first three,
absolutely.
Right? These are very, very well made wines, guys. Amigos, prueben los vinos de FEL Wine, son extraordinarios, son complejos, elegantes, tienen la fruta californiana que a uno le gusta, que por supuesto pues te lleva a comer, te lleva a buscar un pedazo de comida, pero tienen elegancia, tienen esa cualidad de que cambian en la copa, no son pesados, son más bien balanceados, no tienen mucha madera, esa sensación dulce que a veces when a wine is too sweet, you have a sip and then you don't want to keep drinking. It's like a meal. It's like a Weight Watchers shake. Here is you want to go for the whole bottle, and they're very elegant, very expressive. Gracias por la oportunidad. Suscríbanse a WNTV PR, Wine News TV Puerto Rico en YouTube. Agradezco nuevamente para los amigos de Fine Wine, agradezco a Texas de Brasil, aquí en el distrito de convenciones, a Sheila y a la familia de Wow. Wow son los del restaurante. Será hasta la próxima. Let's toast with Savoy.
Savoy.
I want to do Savoy. Savoy is a wine that I'll never forget. Será hasta la próxima, amigos. Salud.
Salud.